Halima Rima, 3rd DC English, Pioneer College. Readings on Democracy and Secularism. Chapter 2, The Humiliation of a Brown Child in a European School. Written by Kamala from My Story. Classroom Study. When I was a little child growing up in Calcutta, the British still ruled India. But in good society, they behaved like our equals. It was normal for a British family to have one or two close friends among the Indians with whom they were on visiting terms. My father's superior at that time was a balding, red-faced gentleman named Rose, who called my father my good friend Nair. Whenever he came to our house, thrilling all of us to our very bones. When we went once to Malabar for a month's stay with my grandmother, we lent our cook to Mrs. Rose so that she might teach him the rudiments of European cookery. With every vacation that we took, our cook advanced more and more in the culinary arts until our eating habits had to be altered to suit his sophistication. Instead of the rice and curry, he served us soups, cutlet, and a stew. For my mother, he cooked a plate of rice and lentils because he felt that it was too late to change her taste. My father ate with a fork and knife. The children, my elder brother and I, eating early and unsupervised, ate Western meals with our little brown fingers, licking our hands, enjoying all that was served on our plates while the cook stood by, frowning. He thought us savages. My father was always busy with his work at the automobile firm where he was employed selling Rolls-Royce, Hampers and Bentley to the Indian princes and their relatives. My mother, vague and indifferent, spent her time lying on her belly on a large four-post bed, composing poems in Malayalam. We had no full-time maid at that time. The cook took us to the European school a furlong away and brought us back in the afternoon. He was not of an affectionate nature, so we grew up more or less neglected. And because we were aware of ourselves as neglected children in a social circle that pampered the young, there developed between us a strong relationship of love, the kind a leaper may feel for his maid who pushed him on a hand cart when they went on their baking rounds. My brother was plump and dark. His eyes were bright and circular. Although he was the cleverest in his class, the white boys made fun of him and tortured him by pushing a pointed pencil up his nostril. One day his shirt front was covered with blood. He was stunned by the cruelty, but even the tears seemed inhibited, staying suspended on his lashes, while William the bully exclaimed, "Blackie, your blood is red." I scratched his face in a mad rage, but was soon overpowered by the tough Anglo-Indians who were always on the other side, fighting for the white man's right. We did not tell our parents for the tortures we underwent at school for wearing, under the school uniform of white twill, a nut brown skin. Occasionally, the school would get a distinguished visitor, a bird of bright plumage, alighting for a short while. A governor's wife, a white mustached admiral, or a lady in a grey silks, claiming relationship with the family at Buckingham Palace. I do not know how our lady principal, whom we call Madame, managed to lure such august personages in. Ours was not a big school. Perhaps it was because we sang the national anthem, Rule Britannia, louder than the others. In the morning, while Madam sat at the grand piano on which stood the tinted photograph of the British royal family, and we raised our voices in song, singing, Britons never shall be slaves. Even the postman slowed his walk to listen. King George VI, God save his soul, used to wink at us from the gilt frame, as though he knew that the British were singing in India their swan song. Shirley Temple was to rage then with her golden ringlets and her toothy smile. All the little girls copied her. Our school hung her picture on the wall behind the piano. We had in my class another Shirley, a Scot with pink cheeks and yellow ringlets. When the dignitaries arrived, it was always Shirley who carried up the bouquet. Once she was asked to read a poem that I had composed, and when the visitor asked who wrote it, our principal said, Shirley, of course. She is a combination of beauty and brains. And then there was from the governor's wife a special kiss. What a bright little moped, she said. When the visitors came, the brown children were always discreetly hidden away, swept under the carpet, told to wait in the corridor behind the lavatories where the school, I asked, kept them company. None of us looked too pretty in those days. There were 6 in all, counting Louis the black Anglo-Indian, who could not make up his mind which side to take. If we were hated by the white children, poor Louis was hated more, but he followed them about, clowning to put them in good humor, barking like a dog and braying like an ass. About the author and the writer. Kamala Das, 1934 to 2009, is one of the most sensitive, outstanding, and poignant bilingual Indian writers. Malayalam and English were her languages of creative expression. The multilingual context of her growing up to a writer is manifest in her oft quoted and fascinating self perception that she speaks 3 languages, writes in 2, and dreams in 1. She has left behind a substantial body of writing in the poetic and fictional mode. Her inspiring autobiography, My Story, is a signal contribution to the genre of life writing with a refreshingly feminist canter. It illuminates the bold moment of the agony of self expression of a woman subjected to the grim realities of patriarchy and colonialism. The humiliation of a brown child in a European school is a chapter of her autobiography which reflects her photographic imagination, conviction about individuals' right subtle sense of humor, and mastery of sketching people with words. Her remarkably anti colonial perception of Indian reality and satirical rendering of the games that colonial power played endowed the text with an unmistakable political dimension. Her works include Alphabet of Lust, My Story, A Doll for Child Prostitute, Summer in Kolkata, and the Annamalai poems. Glossary. Rudiments, Basics, First Principles. Blackie, race specific, abused, used against Indians and African peoples. Pamper, give too much attention to make somebody comfortable. Inhibit, limit a block from doing something, to hold back. Bully, one who threatens weaker people with physical power. Britannia, word of respect for Britain, England as a nation. Rule Britannia is a patriotic poem written by James Thomson and set to music Thomson Augustine Arne 1740 and became famous as the unofficial national anthem of Britain. August, respectable, grand, majestic. Swan Song, a final performance, the last song. Shirley Temple Black, 1928 to 2014, was an American actress, singer, dancer, businesswoman, and diplomat who was a rich as a child actress from 1935 to 1938. Her career as an artist began at the age of 3 and won awards for her juvenile performance. Moffat, a little girl that one is fond of, pet child, discreetly hidden. Brendan Lee, carefully hidden like things. Lavatory, toilet. Answer in 2 or 3 sentences. First question: what was Kamala's opinion about the British attitude to Indians? Second, why did Ross visit Trill the children? Third, what happened to the cook who used to cook Indian food? Fourth question, how did Kamala and her brother become savages to the cook? Fifth, what was the reason for the strong relationship of love between the siblings? Sixth question, what did Lewis do to put the white boys in good humor? Seventh, why did the white boys hurt the writer's brother? Eighth, what did Kamala do to William? Ninth question, what according to Kamala helped her school get distinguished visitors occasionally? 10th, how did Kamala describe her mother? 11th question, who was Shirley Temple? 12th, what was the predicament of Lewis? 13th question, what is xenophobia? Answer in 80 to 100 words. First question, comment on the title. Second, bringing out the tensions and conflict that arise from the practice of judging others by the color of the skin. Third question, Kamala, Shirley and racial discrimination. Fourth, respond to the statement, Kamala captured the English language and used it against the British in this writing. Fifth, the civilized cook and the savage children. Sixth, the discrimination and wild forms of violence against dark-skinned children and the school. Seventh, does colonization impact on the culinary tradition and manner of eating of a community? Explain with example from story. Eighth question, how did Kamala resist the racial violence that she had to face from school? Ninth, does Kamala's insistence of writing in English as she described in her poem Introduction have anything to do with experiences of racism that she had in school? 10th, how did Kamala's school work as an ideological apparatus of the British? Answer in 200 to 250 words. First, how did racism unfold itself in the school where Kamala studied? Second question, critically examine the strategies employed by the writer in her engagement against racism. Third, what makes the narrative extremely readable? List the features. Fourth, discuss how systemic racism affected brown-skinned Nair, Kamala, and her childhood. Fifth, comment on Kamala's skills for characterization, giving instances. Sixth, would Kamala's belonging to a middle-class caste community have helped her get admission to European school in Calcutta? Explain. Read, relate and write. Internal assessment. First question, collect the lines and other details of Rule Britannia and comment on the aggressive claims of superiority of the British. Second, gather narratives of similar experience of racial victimization in the Indian colonial context. Third, choose 5 instances from the text and reproduce it as the draft of your imaginary interview with Kamala Das. Fourth, would Kamala's belonging to an educated, employed, upper caste community of Kerala have helped her get admission to European school in Calcutta? Fifth, how does systemic racism affect the brown-skinned Kamala and her childhood in Bengal despite her status of being a member of a prominent upper caste family in Kerala? Sixth, apart from the bold articulations of female sexuality in Kamala Das or Kamala Suraya work, what is her importance as a bilingual woman writer? Why did she tell stories in Malayalam and write poems in English? Seventh, like Maya Angelou, Kamala has so many memories to her credit. Her My Story is not considered to be an autobiography like that of Gandhi or EMS, which were considered to be factual. Discuss the difference between autobiography and memoir. 8. Maids and servants are a recurring presence in Kamala Das fiction. Analyze the treatments of such characters with reference to African, American and Dalit text written from the perspective of the maids. 9th, did Kamala Das' conversion to Islam to Kamala Suraya impact on her writing? Discuss with reference to the anthologies published after her conversion. 10th, was the film Army 2018 by Dear Kamala and write a critical review. Language and matters. First question. List the adjectives used in describing the two Shirleys. Prepare a biographical note of the actress using the adjectives, adding a section on any two plot of the film she acted as a child. Log on to https n.wikipedia.org/wiki/Shirley_temple. Second, make a table of a proper nouns in the first 5 paragraphs and transcribe them. Third, make a list of words related to body description. Fourth, catalog the punctuation marks used in the write-up and write the purpose of the use in each case. Fifth, find out the pronunciation as well as phonemic transcription of words like rudimentary, culinary, plumage, mustache, and bully. Sixth, find out the grammatical category and dictionary meaning Blackie, Scott, Swan Song, to make fun of, to thrill to the bones, on visiting terms, to pamper.